There's something about the games made by Fumito Ueda that makes me feel sort of empty but hopeful. Whether it's the beautiful but yet so quiet world that his games take place in, whether it's Eco, Shadow of the Colossus, or The Last Guardian, there's just something that's always out there, this feeling that keeps coming back to me every time I play his games. In a market full of games where microtransactions and the most flashy and the realistic worlds are sought after, there is Shadow of the Colossus. I love Shadow of the Colossus. It's my favorite game of all time, and every chance I get I push it down the throats of all my friends because I want them to see what I saw when I saw my brother play it as a kid. This game makes me feel so many emotions, but I can't seem to express what it is as hard as I try to. As hard as I tried, most of my friends didn't understand the game, and I don't blame them. Just cause Shadow of the Colossus had mainstream success doesn't take away from the fact that it's a weird game. Fumito Ueda, when talking about his games, said, "For a long time I was worried whether a game created in this way would be accepted by players. There were no stats, no scoring. Would players really accept a game that only had a story and a realistic map and world? But rather than taking a left turn into a compromised vision, I thought it would be best if we push ahead with the original idea as planned." Team Eco stood by the philosophy of design by subtraction, by removing all the elements that are not needed and aren't essential, whether it's the UI or the story details. This helped to enhance the world of the game. Using this philosophy, Team Eco made their first game, Eco. Eco, a melancholic game about a boy and a girl escaping from a castle. Eco was quiet and had an atmosphere like no other. Even though Eco wasn't a success, it went on to become one of the most influential games of all time. Eco mattered, and at the time it might have felt like it's too far to say, but Eco is art. But with the scene set, Fumito Ueda went on to create his next game, and this was his vision. Nico. His next project was supposed to be a multiplayer game on the PlayStation 2, where players would work together to defeat large monsters, and with the vision so ambitious and the team and Mr. Ueda were ready to deliver.
Shadow of the Colossus began development in 2002 under the project name Nico. Originally, the game was going to be a multiplayer, but as production went on, Ueda realized that the small team was not equipped to deliver a complex online-only game. With a team of 35 people, the team was intending to make a direct sequel to Eco, but as development process went on, the game went on to being a prequel to Eco, but more on that later. After 3.5 years of development, the same time it took to make Eco, the game was released on 18th October 2005. Which brings me to say that happy anniversary to Shadow of the Colossus. In this video, I want to share my love for the game and dissect all the small details that I can. Special thanks to Nomad Colossus for all his works and his clips. So, let's begin.
The story of Shadow of the Colossus is selfish and tragic. As Wander, the protagonist of the game, you're willing to do anything to bring back the person you love, even if it means losing yourself. And as fate shows, Wander sets out on a journey to bring back the soul of the girl he loves, his dearest Mono. Even though the relationship between Mono and Wander isn't stated, it's left up to the player's interpretation, and that's what makes this game so special. So much of the loose ends in these games are saved by this concept. Mono was sacrificed as she had a cursed fate, and what this cursed fate is, we are left with no answers, or maybe we do. Wander sets out on this quest to slay every Colossus no matter what, with his trusty steed Agro and the ancient sword's light guiding his ambitions, he sets out into the Forbidden Lands. After every battle, the tendrils of the colossi enter the body of Wander, which slowly start decaying his body, making it into something not human. As a player, watching this happen to our protagonist is heartbreaking, but we slowly understand the price of a selfish act. Beating the 8th Colossus and reaching halfway towards Dormant Steel, we get this cutscene. Halfway through, you can already see the damage being done to Wander as slowly his life is getting sucked out of him with his body decaying. After every Colossus killed, a shadow stands near the body of Wander and a bird near Mono, symbolizing the return of Mono's soul and the loss of Wander's soul. Is this the cost of defying death? Wander becomes more and more pale, Mono becomes lively. Is this the price we have to pay? Our own life getting sucked out of us for the single goal of bringing back the one dear to us. Is this how it ends? During this whole journey, we are not alone. We have Agro. She is the most selfless and loyal companion we have throughout this whole journey. But with being closer to our goal, Wander and Agro work together to bring down some of the toughest colossi and build a bond stronger than anything.
on, something else is happening in the background. We see the glimpse of a group of people approaching the Forbidden Lands. All this is setting up to be for something, right? Back at Wander and Lagro, as we're going to the final Colossus, everything is going good until... This is where it set in. Wander losing everything even in the end, Agro made sure Wander makes it and reaches his goal by throwing him onto the platform before the bridge collapsed. This was the moment of no going back. As we climb on top, we meet our final foe, Malice. As a kid, seeing Malice for the first time really scared me to death. This tall colossi waiting for us at the edge of the world, waiting to get a chance to see this being that killed his friends. It, the final battle. With one final blow it ends this journey, this struggle. Being so close to being united with our lover, we see what it all led to. Wander being completely sucked off his humanity with horns growing out of his head. Dormin takes over Wander's body and becomes the Colossus himself like no other. Here we get to control Dormin as Lord Emon and his men are running back. Emon uses the ancient sword to stop Dormin from making any more trouble, and the pool of water sucks in Wander as he is screaming, wanting to see his lover rise. As he catches one final glimpse of her, he gets sucked into the pool. Mono awakens and we hear a step. It's Agro? He survived! Inside, it seems Mono recognizes Agro. Lord Emon and his men get away as the bridge to the Forbidden Land collapses. As Emon says, perhaps one day you will atone for what you have done. As Mono and Agro walk towards the pool of water, there he is, Wander. He is a baby with horns now. This is what Wander wanted. All his efforts and the struggle he went through, he might not be here to see it, but this is what he would have wanted. Mono and Agro walk to the top of the shrine of worship as the wildlife returns back to the Forbidden Lands. What a bittersweet yet tragic ending, right? Wander was so determined to bring back the girl he loved, and in the end he lost his life so that Mono could live once more. It pains me knowing he'll never see Mono rise and Agro surviving, but maybe that's how it was meant to be. The ending is left to the player's interpretation and with so many questions left to answer. Now let's see the different details in this game. Throughout the map of the game you can find shrines where you can save. There are about 25 shrines. On every shrine you can find lizards with blue tails. By hunting them down, you can consume the tail to increase your stamina permanently. You can also find different fruits on trees that increase your permanent health. Let's look at some interesting and beautiful structures.
Moving on, in the desert area of the game, we can find these interesting rings in the ground. Thanks to Nomad Colossus, we know that these are used to keep Phalanx, the 13 Colossus, from escaping the desert. You can visit all the bodies of the Colossi except Malice, and even enter Reminiscent mode where you can fight the Colossi again with a grainy filter. We know that you can find doves and eagles in the Forbidden Lands, but surprisingly you can also find turtles and fishes. Another interesting location in the game is the Eco Beach. Named after the beach at the end of Eco, this place is the most beautiful in the game in my opinion. Lastly, Wander can do many moves with aggro. Let's look at them. And the final thing we're gonna talk about in this section is the time attack mode and its rewards. After finishing the game, the player can pray in front of the idols of the Colossi in the Shrine of Worship to defeat them again, but under a strict time limit. If the player is able to defeat the Colossus in time, they get rewarded with items. This has both hard and normal time attack rewards. The most prominent ones are the different masks with different buffs, the Queen's Sword, the direct callback to the villain in Eco and her sword, bomb arrows, a parachute, and more. Now, moving on to the secrets in the game. Well, there is the Stonehenge Rock, which isn't exactly a secret at first until we find its purpose. This was used in the Arena of Unused Colossi Sirius, located in Quadrant E8, but more on that later. Now, the most famous secret in the game is the Secret Garden at top of the Shrine of Worship. Now, it's not exactly a secret as at the end of the game you can see Mono and Aggro walk up to it. But with enough stamina, something that can only be achieved by multiple playthroughs of the game, the player can climb the Shrine of Worship and take two paths. One leads to the garden, another leads to the amazing but scary bridge. The bridge where the player can walk up to the entrance of the Forbidden Lands, but you can't leave as a powerful wind will blow you back. Back at the garden, you can find the hole where Dolmen speaks through, and even find fruits here. But strangely, these fruits will permanently harm your health instead of increasing it. Now, the secrets in the remake version of the game. You can find a watermelon at the Eco Beach calling back to the secret watermelon ending in Eco. You can also find a glowing barrel in a cave. This was used in The Last Guardian, the third game of Fumito Ueda. And lastly, the most important one of them all, the 79 steps to enlightenment. Throughout the map, there are golden pickups scattered around in the map, and collecting all 79 steps leads us to the final secret of the game, opening a secret door inside the Shrine of Worship containing Dolmen's sword. I'm really fascinated with the beta content in this game, the unused colossi, the different UI, and how Wander looked originally.
Makes me think of a world where all this made it to the main game. Maybe if the PS2 was more powerful, maybe if all the ideas came together and worked. But here, our main focus are the cut colossi. Originally, Fumito Ueda planned 48 giants to battle, before cutting it down to 24 and then 16. We know about the 8 unused colossi through the art book and videos from promo discs. The 8 unused colossi are Spider, Phoenix, Rock, Worm, Griffin, Monkey, Devil, and finally Sirius. I know that I left out 2 of the pictures from this, but Evis, which was supposed to be the final Colossus, was only a concept art. But more on him later. Yamorie was the twin brother of Kuromori. I want to talk in depth about these unused colossi and talk about what their arena was like, how we were supposed to defeat them, and why they didn't work or were removed. Now, let's talk about Spider. To defeat Spider, the player would have to ride aggro, cut through his legs, which would destroy its balance, and after falling down, Wander would go to the sigil located on its open mouth to attack him. The players would have to repeat this more than once, and to cut through the legs of the spider, there was a special animation that has now been removed, but that's how it was going to be done. It was located on the west side of the bridge. Phoenix. It was a huge bird with the right side of its face, its tail, and its wings covered in magma. Found in the quadrant I-4 on the arena known as the crater, according to the art book, its body was wretched in flame. You defeated it by plunging it into a lake. This indicates that Wander likely needed to drop it into a lake, extinguishing the fire, blocking the path to its sigil. In all release screenshots of Phoenix, Wander is seen riding aggro, so it can be assumed that she was very important in this battle. The player would have to avoid the Colossus' gusts of wind until they are closer to the Colossus. As Phoenix's body isn't fully on fire and its legs had fur on them, Wander would have to jump from aggro to one of them and climb it from there. We would have to drop it into a lake mid-air. Rock. Rock was the first discovered by fans with its footage in the shadow of the Colossus promo disc. Rock's head resembled a frizzled lizard, and according to an interview with Fumito Ueda, the player would have to chase this flying colossus on horseback and shoot it down with a bow similar to the 13th Colossus. Rock was cut from the game as issues with collision detection was there. Evidence of this can be seen in the footage of Rock. We are not sure, but Rock was found in quadrant D6. Worm. Worm was a serpent-like colossus. It had a long body and fur on both sides, suggesting Wander would climb from either side. It had a huge mouth. It means that it probably would try to feed on Wander. According to the art book, the flower bulb-like section was its weak point. Some leftover unused worm functions that were found by Wizzy in the OPN demo and the E3 demo demonstrates quite a bit on how the Colossus used to function. Griffin. Griffin was a medium-sized colossus depicted to be 9 meters high in sketches with comparison between the player. Its body was covered with armor and had a fully exposed back where its weak point most likely lies. According to the art book, you could defeat it by making use of its weakness, fire. You were meant to fight it by riding aggro as with the Colossus 10, but it took a long time to retry, so it was the Colossus that was rejected. The player would have to light a torch on fire and use it to intimidate the Colossus. Griffin lived in the unused valley arena. Monkey. Monkey or Saru was based around an orangutan, with long arms which it used to swing around stalactites of its cave. Its legs were small, which probably meant it couldn't support its whole body. According to the art book, it hung from the ceiling and you would defeat it by dropping it to the floor.
Monkey was fought in a cave area where it would hang on to stalactites. It's not clear how the Colossus will attack, but most likely it would have thrown stalactites at the player. Monkey was never placed on the map. Devil. Devil was a small colossus with 4 to 5 meters of height. Its head was a tribal mask. It had wings like those of a bat. In one art book sketch from Devil, Fumito Ueda says, it was the smallest colossus. You defeat it by menacing it with your bow, then drawing closer while hiding in the grass and attacking from behind. Ueda also says two other things in the descriptions of the colossus. I imagine the battle with Devil to be fierce and you would hide in the grass and jump on its back. It's possible that the Colossus would fly all over the arena until you shot at it with your bow, forcing it to come down where Wander could have a slight chance of fighting it. After that, you would have to hide from it in the grass and possibly behind the various pillars and ruins scattered around. Devil was fought at Quadrant D2 named Devil's Plain, located next to the Stone Art Gorge. And finally, we are at the final Colossus from the 8. Sirius was a small colossus with fur on his back, resembling a boar or a hawk. We talked about how the Stonehenge rocks were used in this fight. Sirius was a very aggressive and fast colossus and would chase Wander, but as Wander and Agro would go through the rock would collapse, stunning the colossus. This was used to climb the colossus and kill it. He was located in Quadrant E8. Evis was supposed to be the final colossus of the game, but it only got concept art. Later on in the development, Evis evolved to Buddha, which is today's Malus. Yamori-A. Yamori-A was similar to the 8th colossus Kuromori, with it also being a gecko. Although unlike its counterpart, the top part of its body was covered in fur and its legs were armored. Its strategy was it was a colossus that would chase you while you were climbing the walls, and the strategy to defeat it was to grab onto its back with a backwards jump instead of dropping it to the ground. Wander would need to lure it up the wall and jump on its back where its jill was. Yamori-A lived at B3, the unused arena named Sluis. This game means the world to me. I cannot thank my brother enough for introducing me to this game. Is it too far to say that Shadow of the Colossus is one of the greatest games of all time? I don't think so. This game makes me feel something I'll never be able to express. But I know one thing. I don't need people to validate this game for me for it to be considered a masterpiece. Shadow of the Colossus is the purest forms of art I have consumed, and I'm proud to say that I've done everything in this game, from getting the platinum to collecting the 79 steps to enlightenment. I love this game. Wander's determination towards one goal really inspires me to follow my own ambitions. And with Fumito Ueda moving to Gen Design, a new game Project Robot got a teaser a few months ago, and I'm happy to see the man back with his games. I named my dog Agro because I really did have a bond so unbreakable with her. All the traversal we did to every part of the Forbidden Lands, all the times we worked together to take down some of the toughest colossus. I love both my Agros, and I'm glad that they are part of my life. I made this video because I think it's finally time to let go. I've always had a dream of making my own video about this game, and whether or not I gave justice to the game, I'm glad I made this video. Special thanks to Nomad Colossus, P-Call, SKDia, Jacob Keller, and all the people that put their heart and soul into discovering every last piece of information about this game we all love so much.
Before I leave, I want to put some light on a fan-made project that's been in the works for 3 years now, and they are working hard to restore the Beta Colossus. It's called Beyond the Forbidden Lands. Check them out on X and please support the project. And with that, it's time to say goodbye to this game and these memories. Thank you.